My name is Anna, and this is the still yet to be determined YouTube channel. What I went with on Instagram today was the Pink Reading Raven or Pink Raven Reads. I don't know. I don't remember, but that was just today. And we're just testing it out, so we'll see. There's a couple different options, but by the time this is posted, that will already be a known thing. But as of recording right now, it is not. So this is my second video ever, not including my introduction. And I just want to talk about the 2 books I finished last week. I have done my Q1 kind of reading wrap up. I did that a little bit later because I didn't even do my introduction video recording until after it had been like mid to late April. So Q1 had already been wrapped up for a little while. We're 2/3 of the way up Q2, which is kind of funny to think about it for like reading wrap ups because it's not really something that's relevant to my life, like the Qs, the quarters, or the financial years or anything like that, or budget years, because I just don't really deal with that at work. Like I know they happen and I know they exist, but it's not really something I deal with specifically super often in my current job. So my Q2 video, just still silly. My Q2 video, I'll have to get that recorded soon, maybe even start with the first 2 months and then go from there. I'm in a different place today. I've been meaning to film in front of our bookshelves since we've gotten those mostly together. The books aren't all on there, but we did wallpaper them with this beautiful gilded peacock wallpaper, which I'm obsessed with. We have some of our books unpacked. They're not really in any particular order, just for framing purposes. We've got 2 little capybaras, Nacha and Cappuccino, and then just a random assortment of books. We've got the Astro and Orion crocheted caps that my friend Ashley made for us that I just got this weekend. And over here we have our fantasy section. We've got our fancy book section. Got a smidge of horror. We've got some childhood books, plus some random things. Some like self-help books that I've gotten mostly as ARCs or like free things for, so I don't even really know what those are about. Except for that one. I got that one from We Hike to Heal, which is a Georgia-based women's hiking group that is meant to encourage self-healing and self-esteem and all of that, and meditation within nature. And then we have the to be read up to like here, and then just absolute randomness on the other end. So, and cookbooks up there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the quick little tour of the bookshelves so far. I'm excited to spend some time decorating that as we finish unpacking and doing all of that. The aforementioned cats are right beside me. It's almost their dinner time. This is maybe not the best time to be filming, but they're right beside me getting a little feisty with each other, maybe. Yeah, isn't that right? Yeah, we'll see if one of them hops up. When I first sat down to record, Orion the cow cat was sitting right here, and that was very cute, but he has since gone and moved on. Now before I get started, I am knitting. I'm working on I believe it's called the Little Cables Raglan sweater. The pattern's free on Ravelry. I'm using this sparkly fingering weight yarn, which is Pretty Pumpkin Princess, held with, I believe, Bay Breeze, which are both from Bad Sheep Yarn, which I bought a while back. It was the first like fancy yarn I'd ever bought, and especially in a sweater quantity, it was like, this is a lot. And it's taken me a long time. This isn't really what we're here for, but that is, if you see me like look down or something, it's so I have something to do with my hands, because otherwise I might just like you know, do normal person movements. That's not the right word. Involuntary things you don't really think of. I'm not thinking of the words. Let me talk about the books then, since it's the end of a Tuesday and I've been working on some tough projects at work and I'm just tired from all of that and it's kind of stressful. So it's fun to have these videos to kind of think about what I want to talk about, and just talk about some of my favorite things, which are books. Okay, so the books I finished last week. So I was reading Smothermoss, and I wish I had the author's name, but I don't, and I'm recording on my phone, so I can't look it up. So there's that. And I finished that on Friday, and then on Saturday morning I finished the audiobook of The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. And again, I can't look it up because I don't have my phone right now. Like you are looking at me through my phone. I guess I'll talk about the Smothermoss book first. So I'm not sure how I heard about that one to begin with. It's been on my Kobo for a little while. I kept seeing the cover, which is this eerie botanical like face with I think there's rabbits involved. I've seen the I think UK cover as well, and that one's definitely more heavily rabbity. But this one is a creepy. Sorry, I'm watching Astro to make sure he doesn't bite the lights that we have over there. So yeah, so the cover is creepy. I didn't know that much about it. I've been kind of trying to go in blind as much as possible where I can. So as not to get spoiled on things, especially if there's something kind of weird happening. And my Kobo, because of how I've been downloading them from the library, because I have more than one account, and I haven't bothered figuring out how to hook it. I know there's a way, but I haven't done it yet. So I've been using Calibre to organize them, and so I don't always have the actual synopsis or background or anything like that are really good about information. And it seems that pretty much every time I am starting a new book, it's when I'm in bed and I've already put my phone away for the evening and don't want to spend an hour choosing a book by reading about all these random books that I have. So I just randomly picked that on the plane on our way to London, after I'd finished the other book I was reading, which was, I believe, that Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. I decided, hey, why not now? I knew it had something to do with Appalachia, and that there was some sort of murder of hikers on the Appalachian Trail, but I wasn't really sure much more than that. So I started it on the plane and I was instantly pretty gripped. The chapters are all titled these kind of creepy and weird phrases. There'll be little pictures, and I didn't pay enough attention to those to see if it was really changing throughout. I kind of thought that it was, but I should have paid more attention to that. But basically the story is about these two sisters named Sheila and Angie, and them growing up in this very remote part of Appalachia, and their mom works at the local asylum. It takes place in the 80s. Sheila is, I believe, a senior in high school, and Angie is 12. Sheila takes care of really everything while their mom is is working a lot of really exhausting shifts. And they also live with a great aunt, and you get this kind of, I think someone mentioned it in a review as a slice of life, and so I can't really get that phrase out of my head. But this particular slice of their life, because it's not a cozy kind of slice of life, which is what I normally think of, even if that's not correct. But these two girls have some interesting things about them, and at some point there is this horrific murder of two female hikers on the nearby trail, and so the town kind of obsesses over trying to figure this out, but they're not really coming to any conclusions or anything like that as the story progresses. And so I'm going to try to avoid as many spoilers as possible, but you have Angie, who again is 12. She's a little wilder and rough around the edges. She has these grand daydreams, play things, games where, she thinks she's leading the fight against the Russian invaders or whatnot, or she's kind of obsessed with Rambo, and she really wants to solve this mystery or catch the killer or whatnot. And then on the other hand, you have her sister Sheila, who is the responsible one, typical eldest daughter situation. And she does the cooking and the cleaning. She cares for the animals and the crops, and she doesn't really count on Angie to be that much of a help. There's definitely some tension there because there is a decently wide age gap between them, and Angie is not necessarily as reliable. She's also younger, and she's just kind of in her own world most of the time. There were a couple of parts earlier on in the book where you learn this thing about Sheila. She has this imaginary rope hanging around her neck, and sometimes it'll just tighten and be really painful, and it drags behind her and will catch on things, and no one else can see it, and she's just kind of horrified by it, and just keep it, feeling suffocated by it constantly. And then Angie has a deck of cards that might not be entirely what it seems. So those are both the kind of moments where I was like, okay. And then there's another character you meet that is, how to say this? It's interesting because I'll say this about the book. I would not consider this a spoiler. This is not a book you read when you want to get all of the answers. Like, I was very engaged throughout. I thought it was really interesting. I liked reading about their lives, and these kind of weird magical realism things that were relevant to their lives or to their persons. And so that was interesting if you just take it as that, but it's definitely not going to be like, oh, why does she have a rope around her neck? Is this like a literal thing, or is this figurative? Does she actually think she has a physical rope around her neck, or is it hypothetical? Are you gonna sit up? Oh, come here. Okay, well, this is Orion. Isn't he precious? Okay, let's see if he wants to sit on my lap. He was acting like he wanted to. And nope, he did not. Okay. That's okay, we're allowed to change our minds. I thought the relationship between the sisters was interesting. It really is kind of just a glimpse into their life in this particular period. You don't get a lot of answers at all, like what happened to their brother and why is he in prison? Or, what caused, I believe the mom's name is Bonnie, what caused Bonnie to leave Angie's dad? Like, that's a thing that is what leads them to move in with the Great Aunt. And some of it might just be because I started it a little while ago and maybe, I was sleep deprived on a plane, so I kind of forgot. That's very possible. And it's, so yeah, so if you want something kind of atmospheric and spooky in its way and a little, definitely weird. I would definitely say it's weird. A little, not confounding, but puzzling in that, again, you don't get all the answers, or they're not literally spoken out or written out for you. You don't really get a huge payoff with the murders. Like, it's not a mystery where they're solving a crime or something like that. Like, they're not Nancy Drewing it or anything, or Benoit Blanc, or Agatha Christie. Well, I guess she doesn't solve them. Anyways, but I thought it was really interesting to get little glimpses into all of their lives. I liked the personification of the mountain. I liked its kind of points of view and it talking about its perspective in life and all of that. And I don't fully know what Southern Gothic is. It's a phrase I've heard a few different times, and it always sounds like something I would be interested in. I would want to confirm if this is actually considered Southern Gothic or not, but it felt Southern Gothic to me. Or at least rural Gothic, maybe. I'm not sure exactly where in Appalachia it takes place. Though I feel like they mentioned like Baltimore, so I don't think it's super north. But yeah, it was really interesting and I really enjoyed it. I woke up at 4 in the morning. I was struggling to go back to sleep, and so I decided to read it, and then I ended up finishing it because I was pretty close to the end. And I don't know that helped me get back to sleep because it is very eerie and disconcerting. And so maybe that's not the best let's get back to sleep book, but that's what I did. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I think I gave it, I haven't decided yet when I'm actually going to rate it on Storygraph or Goodreads. I think Goodreads would probably be a 4. I think Storygraph, it could be a 4.25 or 4.5 even. I don't know. I don't know if it was, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it was one that just hit right now, if it was the right time for me for this particular book. I certainly wouldn't recommend it to everyone, I know. But I did, I'm glad I read it. I thought it was interesting. And whoever told me about it in the first place, whether it was a booktuber or whatnot, thank you for that. And so that was Smothermoss. Do I have anything else to say about that? A lot of rabbit imagery. That was the other thing. I might have mentioned that briefly with the British cover, but rabbits are mentioned a lot. They keep rabbits. They keep rabbits as a means of providing sustenance for themselves. Sheila has to care for the rabbits, and she's very bitter about that. But there's also just some weird things that happen towards the end. Now I've just gotten on another thought, where it's confusing if what's happening is really happening in the book, this is actually taking place. It's how? Why? What is going on now? What have we walked into? So that is interesting. I messed up on my knitting, and so this is too distracting than what it's actually supposed to be doing, which is giving me something to do with my hands while I record this. But yes, that was Smothermoss. If you've read it, please let me know what your thoughts were in the comments. For anyone watching this yet, if you did read it, if you're gonna say anything about spoilers, please just tag that, or at least try to hide the spoiler in case anyone else wants to read it. again, there's not plot, but it feels like there's not a lot to spoil because not a lot really happens in some ways, but the things that do happen are kind of weird. So, but yes, let's wrap up Smothermoss. We're good on that one. That's it. So the second book I finished this week was The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor Laval. This was the second book I'd read by Victor Laval. The first one being The Changeling, which I got as a blind date with a book from Malaprops in Asheville a few years ago. It was actually 2018, so that was several years ago now. But no one wants to think about that, do they? So this one was much shorter than that one was. This one felt like it was definitely more of a novella or something, maybe even just like a slightly long short story. It was only 3 hours in audiobook. And so it just wasn't very long. It is based on the Lovecraft story, The Horror at Red Hook, which is not one I've read yet. I have a collection, I think up here maybe, of his books that I got from someone. I don't know. Okay, yeah. This is a retelling of The Horror at Red Hook, which I have not read yet. I am looking forward to reading it now and kind of comparing and seeing where the inspiration was drawn from and the story was drawn from. I was very engaged and very intrigued by it. It was also more horrific and horrifying. So this was kind of a horror-ish or horror-adjacent heavy week between those two. I liked the audiobook overall. My main complaint was that when the narrator did Tommy Chester's voice, he lowered his volume, and that was kind of hard when I was on the train or whatnot, trying to listen to it that way without having to, take my phone out and adjust it constantly. So not anything major, but that's something that bothers me about some audiobooks and TV. I get when things need to be quieter and louder and all of that, but some, more steadiness is nice because then it makes it so you don't have to worry about, take you out of the story so you don't have to keep changing the volume. I feel like that's worse with commercials and TV, but this wasn't as bad. And one, actually, an audiobook that I thought was really bad with it was one of the Wayward Children ones where it was Jack and Jill's story. And so Jack's, I don't remember his name, but the scientist that Jack was the assistant apprentice to, all of his parts were basically whispered, and so it was almost impossible to hear without having to really change the volume. So that was annoying because then it's oh, well, now we're back to normal volume and now it's really loud. Anyways, now we're just ranting about that, and that's fine. So basically, in The Ballad of Black Tom, again, I don't know exactly what happens in The Horror at Red Hook, but in The Ballad of Black Tom, we're following Charles Thomas Tester. And he lives with his dad. And he's 20, his dad is in his 40s. His mom passed away, and his dad's been kind of dying ever since she passed. He was, I believe, a welder. And Tommy is a musician, but also kind of a grifter, I guess. He talks about finding his marks and stuff like that. And so it starts out with you following him as he is delivering a book for this woman in a neighborhood. It would be great if I could remember the neighborhood's name, but there were a couple of different places. Harlem was one, Red Hook was another. Don't think Red Hook is real. I know Harlem's real, of course. Maybe the Bronx? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Well, Queens? Someone who's never lived in New York. I maybe didn't follow the geography as much as I should have, especially for such a short book. But I was listening to it, and I don't think I always have the best attention span when listening if I'm not doing something like knitting. That's what we have this. So I was listening to it on the train mostly, but then I decided to finish it on Saturday while I was soaking my achy little feet. And I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was angering at several points. While Tommy Tester is delivering that book delivering the item to the older lady, he encounters another man who wants to pay him a significant amount of money to play music at a dinner party he's throwing. And so that kind of sets everything in motion. It's notable that this man wants Tommy to play because he's not a great singer. He's in fact apparently a pretty bad singer. So, that is something, it's like, why would he pay this man this amount of money? And then he goes as kind of a, he doesn't realize it's like a audition almost, not really, but that's just for lack of a better word. And so that kind of sets everything in motion. And then some other things happen, and it's really definitely has the cosmic horror aspects without going into too many details or spoiling too much. I would say for both books, you may want to look into trigger or content warnings. This one has, police. Well, both of them have interactions with police, but this one in particular has police violence against a black man, and there's lots of racial aspects, actually. I mean, that's kind of like everyone knows that Lovecraft was racist. So all that's to say that I enjoy being able to see these stories being retold through the lens of someone that Lovecraft would have definitely been racist against in his stories. I haven't read that many, so I can't say for sure, which I think also makes it fun for the reader. And hopefully, as like a little bit of like, like you said that awful thing in your story about that group. Relatedly, I also have Lovecraft Country to read. I have not read that yet, partially because I watched some of the show, and while I enjoyed it, it was extremely gory and kind of freaked me out in that regard. Like, I had to stop watching it when the person like burst out of another person's body, because it was like one of the goriest things I'd ever seen. And so I've been a little scared of the book ever since then. Not because of any of like the actual horror, just like, I don't really want to think about that scene too much. But it is on my list because, again, I do enjoy when people from marginalized groups get to retell the stories of a racist man. And I really enjoyed The Changeling by Victor Laval, and I enjoyed this one too. Like, I think I like his writing style, and I like the social commentary that he puts in it, and how he relates that to the story and the plot and its characters and all of that. And I think he does that really well, and I'll need to see what else he's written. I feel like there's a few other things that are on my list and I just haven't encountered yet. So I'll have to seek those out soon. But I think that kind of wraps up the wrap up for last week. I don't know if I'll finish a book this week. Actually, I probably will, because I just remembered what I started last night. Well, so yes, so I think I will have at least one book that's pretty short that I'll probably finish this week. And that is I Who Have Never Known Men. So I've heard of that from several people. My cousin described it as, I believe, heartbreaking and haunting, I think, or someone's described it as that. So I'm not really looking forward to it, or beautifully heartbreaking, devastating. I don't know. I'm very intrigued by the first 10 pages I've read so far. I don't know what's going on because it's only 10 pages and I don't know how many answers we'll get, which is fine. But I'm really dreading the heartbreaking and haunting aspects because I'm fine with the horror in that it's kind of the horror's persistent, so do I. So I'm going to read as much horror as I want and pretend like it's spooky season all around, year round. Whereas sad books, no, I don't want that. I don't want to deal with that at all. I don't want anything to make me cry. I think since the pandemic, that's been kind of my rule. It's if I know it's a tearjerker, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. If I cry somewhat, that's fine. That's, crying is fine. But if it's just a book that's supposed to make you cry, I don't really want that. So I don't know if that's what this is going to be. I mean, obviously I know there's more to it than that. But I am anxious about it for sure. Besides that, I'm still working my way through The Shadow Rising, which is a Wheel of Time book, the fourth one. I've not done much reading for that since we got back. I think partially because I was just I wanted to finish Smothermoss because I was intrigued. We're still working through The Assassin's Apprentice with our book club. It's been a little bit since we've made any progress with that, but that's okay. So I'll probably read a little bit more of that soon. I'm trying to work through an audiobook of, I think it's When Women Ran with Wolves or something like that. I don't remember. That was from a Reddit post, but I don't remember what the Reddit post was or why. I've been reading it, what got me to learn about it. But I read on another Reddit post today that no one under 40 can really appreciate it. So maybe this is one we'll have to revisit in a few years. Several years. We still have several years. So, and we'll see what else I pick up along the way. But that's it for right now. My friend and I are talking about starting a Buddy Reads channel and potentially doing Twilight as our first one. So maybe starting that reread soon. I would love to go to a bookstore soon. It's been a little while. I still want to do my MARTA to Atlanta bookstores video at some point. Honestly, I just need to look into that somewhat and then do it, or at least get started on one. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. That was this past week. Unless I'm forgetting something obvious. I don't think I am. Those are only 2 books. I don't have anything on Serial Reader. I'll probably try to read the horror at Red Hook pretty soon so that it's still fresh so I can compare it more easily. And then maybe I can talk about both of those a little bit. But yeah, so if you made it all the way to the end, this was only 2 books and neither of them were that long, but this has ended up being a long video. But if you have, thank you so much. Please leave me your favorite emoji. If you're, into that kind of thing. Please subscribe, comment, tell me what you're reading. Do you have any recommendations? What kind of videos you want to see? Anything. I'm happy to chat in the comments about books and whatnot. I just thank you so much for being here if you are. So yeah. All right.